I keep wrestling on this show with the hard question of how do Americans, all of us, learn to share a country with assholes you can't stand? I've preached, and still do, that you can hate Trump, but not all the people who like him.
Former White House Press Secretary Ari Fleischer. Now we begin with a Defund the Police Democrat from Minnesota who seems to be changing her attitude towards law enforcement after being violently attacked.
No matter how much you check, you will not find any facts.
And as counterintuitive as it may seem, you can like something run by assholes without being one yourself. Just ask Chick-fil-A.
Sathanadan was violently carjacked by a group of 4 men. The attack left her with a broken leg, deep wounds, and bloodied face. And it all happened in her own driveway and in front of her 2 small children.
I want to talk about the carjacking in Minnesota and how what goes around comes around, apparently. What is it they say? You reap what you sow?
There's been so much liberal happy talk this week, jerking each other off about how, oh, this is the end of the Republicans now. Yeah, just like Watergate was the end of the Republicans, and Bush after Katrina was, and now it's Trump.
Of the Defund the Police movement back in the summer of 2020, following in the wake of George Floyd's death. But while protests and riots rocked the city of Minneapolis, state Democrats were busy echoing calls to defund and even dismantle the police.
Now, obviously, I'm speaking in jest, because this Fox News report, or whatever you call it, is downright offensive.
Please, does anyone think that no matter who's running in 2024 on Election Day, it won't be extremely close? Because 74 million Trump voters are not self-deporting, and neither are we.
Now, one of those loud voices was Shivanthi Sathanadan, a high-ranking official within the state's Democratic Party. Just days after George Floyd's death, she wrote on social media, quote, "We are going to dismantle the Minneapolis Police Department." Say it with me. Dismantle the Minneapolis Police Department.
Yes, the crooked and the murderous ones, they should be defunded. They should be removed. And the precincts that they are located might need to be restructured.
Ashley Babbitt, she was a Trump-loving small business owner. She had a pool cleaning company right down the road here in San Diego. She was an Air Force vet who served in Iraq and Afghanistan, and she lost her life.
She posted this bloody selfie on social media, adding, quote, "Catch these young people who are running wild, creating chaos across our city. Hold them in custody and prosecute them, period. Look at my face. Remember me when you are thinking about supporting letting juveniles and young people out of custody to roam our streets instead of holding them accountable for their actions. Thank you to the incredible Minneapolis 4th Precinct officers."
Oh, quick sidebar. Here's the part they left out. 4 very young men, all with guns, beat me violently down in front of our kids. They held our neighbors at gunpoint, and all in broad daylight. She might have been saved if they didn't have guns. Now, obviously, that's not going to go along with the Fox narrative, so they're going to completely leave that part out.
And she lost her life trying to prevent Biden from becoming president, even though she had voted for the Obama-Biden ticket not that long ago.
Such a change of heart, and understandably, but it's a little too late for so many people that already gave their lives and already suffered violent attacks.
That's her point. There's too many damn guns.
But somehow, she came to believe that if Joe became president, horses full of Greeks would rape our women and Georgia would go communist.
You see, Democrats, by and large, are able to hold 2 thoughts in their mind at one time.
She is the tragedy of the modern Republican voter personified, pissed off at the greed and corruption that, yes, has squeezed the middle class hard.
Honestly, why does it have to be about you before you can go out and protect others?
Hopefully not spent in the Clinton Foundation's forced labor camps where socialists will make your wonderful son castrate Mr. Potato Head.
But always coming up with the wrong answer to who is doing most of this squeezing.
Could it be Satan?
I mean, you ought to hear yourselves. But of course they don't.
She was in financial trouble because in order to keep her business afloat, she resorted to a short-term loan with an interest rate of 169%.
They don't need to. They know exactly what they're saying, and they know exactly what they're doing when they cut out a very important point that she was making.
That's right, she was being charged 169% interest and went to Washington so she could chant, "Stop the steal!" She died for a second Trump term, even though that would have solved exactly none of her problems. The same mistake made by all of her friends in the Waffle House Brigade.
Did it have to be about you being a victim of crime to realize that this happens throughout society all the time? And that you can't dismantle the police? It's those calls to dismantle the police that have led police to resign in droves, which is the core of the problem. We don't have enough police because nobody wants to be a cop anymore. But she reaped what she sowed.
Really appreciate
You reap what you sow? What the fuck is the matter with you? Well, it's Ari Flasher. So,
Guys, you are storming the wrong building. The feet up shouldn't have been on Pelosi's desk. They should have been on Trump's tanning bed.
I really appreciate Ari's point, Harris, about her making it about herself, because there were a lot of victims from that first moment of her calling for dismantling the police and defunding. Like,
how absurd. That's the whole point. She's making a point about guns. She's not talking about her life. She's talking about all the other gun crimes that happen every day.
Hey, bro, what's that?
Obviously, Democrats want
What you just
crime
do
to
in
be
here? What's the one word?
prosecuted.
I got you on camera, bro. I got you on camera.
But
We're all good.
too often, 14-year-old boys
Hey, bro, you just threw that in here.
are getting drugs planted on them by the cops. How many videos have we seen?
You thought Trump was going to be your bull in the china shop? Yeah, he was, but you were the china.
Too often than not, that same 14-year-old boy who didn't do anything wrong just panics because he's seen the videos too. He starts running, and then the cop starts shooting. How many of those videos have we seen?
Should Ashley Babbitt have applied better logic in seeing that her real problem in life wasn't pedophile Democrats or Antifa?
so when she says, "Remember my face," I'm sorry, but there's a whole lot of other faces that I think of when I think of the catastrophe that she helped create in her city.
And that people like Elizabeth Warren were actually the ones who were at least trying to do something about predatory lending and economic exploitation? Yes.
Of course they had to leave out guns. Because the argument goes both ways.
Yes. But not everyone can watch MSNBC all day.
We're all now in a position where there's guns everywhere. I can buy one for $50.
She had other priorities like fighting overseas. And maybe, since all politics is local, all she knew was that she lives in a state that's run entirely by Democrats? Yeah, they didn't stop anyone from charging her 169% interest on a loan either.
Because two things can be true. It's going to take more than a change of heart for this one person to change the system that's been put in place by guys like George Soros.
As we're trying to tie this into every goddamn Democratic plot from here since the turn of the century.
California is a blue state that is completely held together by red tape. It's no wonder people are leaving in droves.
Even though somehow people tend to forget, it was a Democrat that wrote the Second Amendment. You see, two things can be true at once. See what I did there?
I am in year 4 of trying to get my solar power hooked up. Just building this shed up to code took 3 years.
But what about all those people that came before and after her toxic words about people who protect and serve?
Good cops? The reality is, good cops want the guns gone. Every police organization says so.
We'll all be getting our power from dilithium crystals before my solar gets turned on.
I I can't stomach what she's saying now, because the reality behind her message is that her life matters more, that her wounds mattered more than the long line of victims and deaths before her. Because all of a sudden, when it's her, then she changes her mind. And we're not talking about something nuanced or complicated. It's actually been quite simple the whole time. People need protection, especially those in vulnerable neighborhoods. And yet that fell on deaf ears to this ideologue for far too long.
And it is simple. She would have been saved had they not all had guns. Hell, they might have even had somebody else get a camera out and take a picture.
How about this? Will you hook it up if I let the homeless live in it?
To her past self, I want to say, like, you were warned about this. But those good cops have been kneecapped by those awful DAs that you are talking about, and their campaigns have been funded by various Soros organizations. And the mayors who don't have the backbones to stand up to these DAs and create a balance and safety in a civil society. This is what society looks like when it starts to fall apart.
By now, you're saying, Bill, what the fuck does this have to do with what's going on in the world today? Well, recently there's been another large group of people who had a great disappointment.
And I'm very sad for her that it took this, but there were so many Cassandras in the chorus who were warning, if you defund the police, if you make this blanket statement, this edict.
You know, I don't know, all guns should be legal, no questions asked, no paperwork involved. Because that, I don't know, seems insane.
And the challenge for us is, how do you get people out of a cult, especially when every time you present evidence of what is obvious reality, they take it as proof of you being in on a conspiracy to destroy them?
This edict, then a very vulnerable part of society will fall apart even faster. And shame on you for not having the rational capacity to have the foresight when you were saying those words in 2020.
And for the answer to that question, we must turn to, and I'm sure many of you have already guessed who I'm going to say now.
DeSantis, who is using your words about don't be in the way, and he's saying, I am in the way to block too much interference from the federal government. Your response, Mr. President?
Governor who?
DeSantis.
Ha ha ha, but come on, Mr. President, show some respect. He should be addressed by his full title, Governor who doesn't care if his voters live or die.
Con man, now serving 120 years, named Keith Raniere, a.k.a. Vanguard.
She went on to say, Cheryl, these men knew what they were doing. I have no doubt they have done this before.
I didn't ask. I don't know. I did not know about that, so I've not heard about that, so I have to check to see whether that's true or not.
I didn't ask. I haven't heard. I have to check if that's true or not, or if you want to be governor or not.
That's the name he gave himself, Vanguard. And as I was watching this documentary, I couldn't stop thinking that Raniere, I mean Vanguard, reminded me of someone. But I couldn't put my finger on who.
Yet they are still on our streets, killing mothers, giving babies psychological trauma that a lifetime of therapy cannot erase, with no hesitation and no remorse. I'm now part of the statistic. I wasn't silent when I fought these men to save my life and my babies, and I won't be silent now. We need to get illegal guns off of our streets, catch these young people who are running wild, creating chaos, and hold them in custody and prosecute them. Period.
Now, clearly they had time, so don't let Fox try to suggest they didn't have enough time in the segment. Because here they are again, going to read the same part of the text without reading her entire point.
That I've ever been more proud to be standing next to your desk.
Thank you, President Trump, for allowing us to have you as our president.
You're living up to everything I thought you would. You're one heck of a leader.
Speaking of the addled ramblings of a diseased brain.
And it's one thing to say defund the police until you need the police. And we've seen that play out many times over and over here in New York City.
In every Democrat-ran city, the guns don't come from there. 80% come from those damn states who give them away free with the purchase of a pickup.
Always bragging about what a genius he is.
But I'm smarter than him. I'm smarter than anybody.
I'm a very stable genius. Donald Trump's very, very large brain.
And who have no laws whatsoever on selling, transferring, buying as many as you want. So whatever fucking goes.
Creation myths as off-the-charts business savants, when in reality, Vanguard's consumer byline business was a pyramid scheme shut down by the state of New York and about as successful as the 3 casinos Trump drove into bankruptcy in the 90s.
Hell, one red state governor tried to put a limit on it. We're just going to have, a 1 a month limit. The right wing melted down. Hell, how can I protect my home with only 1 gun a month? Shit.
To keep and bear arms. It says the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
The NRA believes that America's laws should be obeyed, and we will defend the right to bear arms
by any means necessary. We will not be docile for our oppressors.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you're with the NRA?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is there a problem?
No.
No, of course not. The NRA thinks that everyone should have guns.
Yes, all our brothers should have guns. And we will not rest until we are roaming the streets heavily armed.
Absolutely.
Oh, and they both started fake schools. And then there's the fact that both men were such unrepentant sex creeps.
We conquer a woman if we grab the thing we want to fuck, whatever it is, and fuck it. And if we do whatever we want, and they like it.
And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab them by the pussy.
That are suffering under the crime and the rotating door of criminals in and out, which is what she's talking about now. She's saying we need to get, these people need to be arrested and put in jail, not arrested and let out of jail in 20 minutes. So progressive policies sound good on a sign. They look good maybe on a website.
To have that one queen bee around them who they deputized to recruit others into their sick games. Vanguard had Smallville actress Allison Mack. Trump has Lindsey Graham.
When reality sets in, as we have seen in the streets of New York, and remember George Floyd, those protests, that was 2020. This is 2023, and a lot has changed.
Just hate the cult, love the cultist.
Absolutely. How many brothers do you have?
Our numbers grow daily with every hate crime or case of police brutality.
Good. Why do you want to own guns again?
It's my right.
Right. But the Second Amendment also mentions a well-regulated militia.
Oh, we have a well-regulated militia.
Do you? Where do you live again?
That sounds like a background check.
No.
We would never do anything like that. Background checks are,
an invasion of privacy.
Right.
A right is a right. It doesn't have to be justified.
Correct. That's right. Absolutely.
I think we need to try that on QAnon. The ones who believe that rich liberals are running a massive pedophile ring and eat babies, and in some cases are really lizard people wearing a human mask.
Of course, every answer to every Republican's wet dream is that we need more guns. Get more guns, we need more guns out there. If she'd had a gun, that wouldn't have been a problem. And now she would be dead, probably some neighbors, maybe even her kids.
They were told to trust the plan, that Trump would get a second term devoted to busting the Democratic sex trafficking ring.
The fact is, someone walked into a store and bought that gun. And then after that, it made its way to the market.
And it is my right to defend myself against the racist government.
Whoa. All right, the government for sure overreaches and we hate them. But they aren't racist.
No, I wouldn't go that far.
You would if you came from where I come from.
Yeah. Where is that again?
I'm from the land that enslaved my ancestors.
Right. All right. Okay. Let's just show a little bit of control with the gun.
Gun control is not necessary.
Lift the scales from their eyes. But it's not going to happen from mocking them or calling them stupid or making smart remarks like, if Kamala Harris really is a lizard person, why didn't she eat that fly on Mike Pence's head?
She sounds so much in that last quote like the old Joe Biden when he talked about super predators. And remember, you're not allowed to talk about that anymore unless you're a victim of a crime, and then you know it's the facts.
Don't do that. I'm saying don't do that. Really. One more and then don't do it.
The right wing sets a narrative. The propaganda wing is Fox. Because for some reason, this Fox flies in a very, very tight circle. It's like a fox with 2 right wings.
Their savior, their strongest, smartest, manliest hunk of a leader who ever lived, just got his ass kicked, so don't gloat. Don't even try to argue, because arguing with cult people only makes it worse.
Now, I'm an environmentalist, and I love animals. But let me tell you, if I ever see one of those things, I'm going to shoot the fucker down. I'm Zachariah, Lone Star Liberal. Y'all take it easy.
What we need is gun education. You see, this trigger right here, the slightest pressure from my finger, I can send enough bullets to rip your body in half.
Best not to be too cavalier with this, son. It could kill someone.
Yeah, guns can kill. So can knives. What, you gonna try and take away my knives too?
Yes. What do you need that thing for?
Hunting.
Hunting season is over, man.
That depends on who you're hunting.
Who you're hunting?
What's that?
You said who?
Yeah. Is it who you're hunting or what you're hunting?
Who are you hunting?
What did I say?
You said who?
Said who?
Just now?
You definitely said who.
You said who?